What is an emotional support animal? Also sometimes referred to as an ESA. An ESA is a dog or another common domestic animal that provides emotional support and companionship for his or her owner. ESAs are not task trained. Although they can be very beneficial to the well-being of their owner, they are simply there to provide comfort and support. The only training requirements for an ESA are that they ought to behave appropriately for a pet, meaning that they should be house trained and they really should know basic obedience. The dog should not be aggressive. The dog should not bark excessively. It should know to go to the bathroom outside and not in the house and things like that. Since they are not specially trained to do a task that actively mitigates a disability and they do not receive extensive training, they do not have public access rights, meaning that they cannot go into places such as grocery stores and restaurants and any other businesses that are not otherwise pet friendly. And that is one misconception that a lot of people, including businesses out there, have, is that an ESA is not in fact the same thing as a service dog, and they do not have the public access rights that a service dog has. Bye bye. They can go into any pet-friendly store or business with their handler, but any place that a typical pet would not be allowed, an ESA is not allowed in either. The only exception is that they can live in no pets housing, and they can also fly for free and be in the cabin with the handler. But that again is also under the conditions that the dog is properly behaved and is potty trained and remains on the floor at all times, not sitting in the seat. The dog needs to not be aggressive, not going after other working dogs and or other passengers. But as long as the dog behaves appropriately, they can fly with their handlers and they can live in no pets housing. The important thing to note here is, and this is the case with all working dogs, not just ESAs, this goes for service dogs and therapy dogs as well. If the dog is misbehaving and causing a disturbance, such as, has an accident or is being aggressive or is barking like crazy or, destroying merchandise and things like that, the business has every right to ask the handler to remove the dog from the premises. The person is allowed to return without the dog, but if the dog cannot behave appropriately in public, it can be asked to leave. No matter if it's a service dog, no matter if it's an ESA on, an airplane, no matter if it's a therapy dog, if the dog is not behaving appropriately, the business has every right to ask that handler to remove the dog. And that's one thing that, again, a lot of businesses and a lot of companies out there are too scared to do. So overall, an ESA can be very beneficial to the mental health and well-being of his or her handler, but they are a different type of working dog than a service dog or a therapy dog. I'm not saying they're any better or any worse, but there are big differences between the three. And I just kind of wanted to explain a little bit more of what ESAs do and what the differences are between them. And in the future, I will also make a video specifically on therapy dogs as well. So hopefully this might have cleared a few things up.